Okay, guys, thank you for joining this online meeting. We are here today to record our group discussion for BELU 4053 Engineering Ethics and OSHA, specifically for assignment 2, part 1. According to the assignment sheet, we need to conduct a 30-minute discussion. The topics we need to cover are the roles of OSH, legal requirements in business management, and then we need to discuss the occupational safety and health acts in Malaysia and their salient features. To make our discussion focus, the rubric say we need to choose one specific industry. Do you guys have any suggestion on what industry we should pick?
Hi, Wan and Faris. I've been thinking about this. I strongly suggest we choose the manufacturing industry in Malaysia. Why? Because if you look at the news or social media, manufacturing factories always have a lot of workplace accidents. Workers are dealing with dangerous machines, heavy lifting, and toxic chemicals every day. It is very relevant to our engineering technology background. What do you think, Faris?
Hi. Yeah, I totally agree with that choice. Manufacturing is in Malaysia, like in Melaka, Selangor, and Johor. Plus, if we choose manufacturing now for our part one discussion, it will connect perfectly with our part two report letter. The assignment sheet say part 2 requests a deep report about OSHA compile for any organization. So if we pick manufacturing now, we don't have to change the topic letter and double our work. It saves our time.
That is a very smart strategy, Faris. All right, so we all agree to focus on the manufacturing industry. Let's lock this decision. Now, let's move into our first core topic, the roles of OSH, legal requirements in business management. Let's brainstorm together. Why do you think a factory management or a business owner need to follow these safety laws? Is it just because they are scared of government inspectors, or is there a business benefit? Priya, what is your view on this?
Thanks, Wan. In my opinion, many bad bosses think that safety rules are just a waste of time and money. They think buying PPE or doing safety training is just an extra cost that reduces their profit. But that is completely wrong. The real role of OSH laws in business management is actually risk management and cost reduction. Let's look at real example. If a factory does not follow the law and a worker's hand gets crushed by an unsafe machine because there is no safety guard, what happens next?
Oh, I know what happened. The factory will be in the big trouble. First, the depend of occupation safety and health or DOS become any issue and nothing of prohibit. That will say the machine or even close the whole production line for we to do any investigation.
Exactly, Faris. When the production line stops, the factory cannot produce goods. They will delay deliveries to customers and they might get sued by their clients for breaking the contract. On top of that, the company has to pay massive medical compensation to injured workers, fix the broken machine, and they might face a heavy court fine under OSHA 1994. So, if you calculate all these hidden costs, Ignoring safety laws is actually way more expensive than following them. Therefore, OSH laws act as a tool to protect the financial health of the business.
Wow, that's a very detailed explanation, Priya. I never thought about the production downtime cost. What about you, Faris? Do you have any other points on how OSH law helps business management?
Yes, one. I think other major role is reputation management and corporate image. Nowadays, big international company like Apple, Sony, or Intel that don't want to buy component from a local supply or subcontract that has a bad safety record. If a factor is always on the new because of fire, chemical leak, or worker dying, that corporate image will be completely destroyed. Nobody wants to invest in a dangerous company. So by complying with OSH law, the management can build trust the global client, which is actually help them win more business contract. It changed the management style from being reactive to proactive.
I agree. It's all about sustainability. If I can add a point from the human resource perspective, when a company follow safety laws and provides a clean, safe workplace, the workers will feel safe and comfortable. Their morale will be high. They won't feel stressed about getting injured every day. This means the factory can keep their experienced worker for a long time, and the employee turnover rate will be low. It saves the company from the cost of hiring and training new workers every few months. So, happy and safe workers definitely mean better productivity for the factory.
That is a very solid point, one. So, we can summarize that the role of OSH laws in business is not a burden, but a strategic investment that covers finance, reputation, and human resource management.
Correct. Now, let's move to the second part of our thoughts. Occupational Safety and Health Act in Malaysia and its salient features. We know that in Malaysia we have two main acts: the Control Safety, the Factories and Machinery Act 1967, which is machinery. Sorry, thank you, Priya. Machinery Act 1967, which is FMA 1967, and the Occupational Safety and Health Act 1994, which is OSHA 1994. Forrest, can you explain the history or the main difference between these two?
Sure, the part is very interesting. The OFMM 1967 was created a long time ago when Malaysia was mostly focused on base factor operation. The nature of FAM 1967 is very reactive. This means the law was very grip and set specific and technical rules like how thick a boiler steel must be or the specific dimension for machine guide. it focused too much on the physical safety for machinery, but the problem is technology changed very fast. When new type of automatic machine or robot were invented, the old FAM 1967 could not cover them because the government could not update the law fast enough. Also, FAM 1967 only protect workers inside specific registered factories. People working in an office, hotel, or are are
Agriculture.
agriculture
Agriculture.
will not pro, pro, protect by FM 1967.
Ah, I see. That's why the government had to introduce OSHA 1994, right? To cover everyone
Yes,
else?
yes, exactly. OSHA 1994 was introduced to fix all the creep. It covers also all working people in Malaysia, except for the armed force and those working on machine chip. The biggest features or the main philosophy for OSHA 1964 is self-regulation. Instead of the government tell you every single things you must do, the law say the responsibility for safety and healthy lies with those who create the risk and those who work with the risk. This means employers must must sit down together, identify the hazard in our workplace, and create their own safety system. The law is performance based, mean as low as you can prove your workplace is safe, you are complying with the law.
There is very clear comparison, Faris. Let's talk more about the specific salient features or section inside OSHA 1994. They are important for a manufacturing factory. Priya, do you have any specific section that we must include in our discussion?
Yes, one. The most important section for employers is definitely section 15, which outlines the general duties of employers. Under section 15, the factory owner must provide and maintain a safe plan and system of work. For example, they must establish a proper system called hierarchy. Do you guys know what hierarchy stands for?
Yes, it hazard identification, risk assessment, and risk control. We learned this in chapter 3, right?
Yes, correct. Under section 15, the employer must do hierarchy before any worker starts a job. They must identify if the machine is dangerous, assess how likely an injury can happen, and implement controls like adding a physical barrier or providing safety goggles. Section 15 also says the boss must provide proper training, information, and supervision. So, if a factory hires fresh graduates or new foreign workers, they must give them a proper safety induction course before letting them enter the production floor. They cannot just say go to work and figure it out yourself. That's illegal under Section 50.
That's very true. But you know what? I really like OSHA 1994 because it is fair. It doesn't put 100% of the responsibility on the boss only. There is also a feature called Section 24, which outlines the general duties of employees. Faris, do you remember what workers must do under this section?
Oh yes. Section 24 is very important because sometimes workers are that one who are stumble. Under Section 24 is worker must take reasonable care of their own our safety and safety for their friends at work. They must cooperate with the employer. Most importantly, they must be wear or use any personal protective equipment PPE provided by the employers at all times. For example, if the factor management provide high quality earbud because the manufacturing flow is very low. The worker cannot just leave the earbud in that locker because they feel uncomfortable. If a worker refer to with the PPE, they are actually breaking the law under Section 24 and that can be fined or face action for the company.
Exactly. It's a two-way street. The boss give the equipment and the worker must use it. What about the structural organization inside the factory? Is there any requirement about safety officers or committees? I remember seeing something about that in the lecture slide.
Oh, yes, there is another major feature of OSHA 1994 under Section 30. If a factory has 40 or more employees, they must form a formal safety and health committee. This committee must have a chairman, a secretary, and an equal number of representatives from the management side and the workers' side. The role of this committee is to review safety measures, investigate any accidents or near misses, and meet at least once every 3 months. Also, under Section 29, certain high risk factories with a large number of workers must employ a certified full time safety and health officer or what we can call as an SHO who holds a green book registration from DOSH. The SHO is the person who coordinates all these safety programs, does inspections, and reports directly to the manager.
Wow, we have covered a lot of important points about OSHA 1994. Let's look at the connection to part two of our assignment. The assignment instructions state that we need to select one OSHA act and prepare a 4,000 to 5,000 word compliance report for an organization. Since we have deeply discussed the features of OSHA 1994 and how it applies to the manufacturing industry, I propose that we choose OSHA 1994 as our selected at for part 2. What do you guys think? Let's make a collective decision.
I 100% agree with that decision one. OSHA 1994 is perfect because it gives us a lot of scope to write a comprehensive report. In part 2, the checklist requires us to write about the OSHA compliance, obstacles to compliance, and how to move from compliance to excellence. If we choose OSHA 1994, we can easily talk about the real challenges in local Malaysian factories. For example, we can discuss the financial obstacles faced by small and medium enterprises (SMEs) when they try to hire an SHO or buy expensive safety equipment.
Yes, I second the mention. Choosing OSHA 1994 is the best move. I can already think of other major obstacles we can analyze in our literature review for part 2, the for worker issue. In many Malaysian manufacturing plants, a big a big percentage for operating foreign worker for Bangladesh, Nepal or Myanmar that face several language barriers because they cannot read or understand English or Bahasa Melayu safety sign. This is a hard obstacle to OSHA like OSHA comply that we can expand on beautifully in our report to meet the 4,000 word requirement.
That is an excellent point, Faris. We can also write about the bad attitude and human behavior, like workers being complacent or lazy to wear PPE, which fits perfectly under the literature review section about obstacles. And for the final section of part 2, which is from OSHA compliance to OSHA excellence, we can discuss how factories can implement advanced frameworks in like ISO 45001 to build a proactive safety culture where safety becomes a habit, not just a forced rule.
This is great. This means our part 1 discussion today has successfully built an entire foundation and outline for our part 2 report. To ensure our work is well organized, let's quickly confirm our final decisions for this assignment. Okay, so number 1, our selected industry is the manufacturing industry. Number 2, our selected legislation is OSHA 1994. And number 3, the scope of our report will cover basic compliance like sections 15, 24, 30, main obstacles like costs, language barriers, worker attitudes, and solutions for safety excellence, ISO 45001, rewards, daily toolbox talks.
Perfect. Everything is crystal clear and logical. This ensure our part 1 video and part 2 report are perfectly linked together. We will face any penalty or loss mark for being out for topic. We follow the sequence of step very well.
Awesome. I'm very happy with our teamwork and the level of social interaction today. Everyone contribute a lot of positive ideas and build on each other's comments, which satisfies our assignment rubric perfectly. But before we officially stop this recording, maybe we should quickly delegate the specific section for our 4,000 word report. That way, everyone knows what to do immediately after this meeting. The rubric states we have four main parts: introduction, literature review, discussion, and recommendation. And the abstract with overall formatting. How should we split this?
That is a good idea, one. I don't mind taking the literature review section since it carries 30 marks and requires a lot of journal reading on OSHE compliance and obstacles. I can start finding academic papers about foreign worker language barriers and the financial constraints faced by SMEs that we discussed just now.
Great, I will take discussion, recommendation and conclusion section. It's carry 25 mark. I will focus on connecting the obstacle prior, find will the solution for OSHA exactly. I will
Excellent.
write excellent OSHA
Yes,
excellent.
excellent.
I will write about the SOS pula. ISO 45001 framework and propose the engineering automation solution like the crawl, crawl, crawler robot that one mentioned earlier to elimination hazard.
Perfect. That leaves me with the abstract and the introduction, where I need to cover the background of the Malaysian manufacturing industries and the history of OSHA. I will also take charge of compiling all our parts, making sure our citation follow the strict APA style, and double checking that our word count hits the 4,000 word minimum limit before submission.
Sounds like a very fair distribution. We should also set a strict internal deadline for ourselves. The final submission to lecturer is in week 13, right? So how about we promise to send all of our first drafts to one by end of week 11?
Week 11 worked perfectly for me. That giving us one week to do proof feeding, check for formatting error, and run the work report through Trinity from plagiarism
Plagiarism.
plagiarism checking before we finally upload it to Ulearn. We want to make sure that similarity index is low.
All right, we firmly settled that. Our action plan is clear. Our tasks are divided. And we have successfully recorded all the evidence for our part 1 discussion. Thank you so much again, Priya and Faris, for this incredibly productive session. I appreciate the high commitment from both of you. Let's do our best to score full marks for this engineering ethics and OSHA assignment. I will stop the recording now.
Thank you, Juan and Faris. This was a great discussion. Let's start writing.
Thank you guys. See you in our next drafting season. Bye.